Al-Qaeda band of Rabaul could not have predicted an eruption, the threat of it happening had been a talking point within the community and among the people whose business it is to know for over decades already. Hello and welcome. We've of course turned the page over those lovely images of Rabaul. Tonight, tens of thousands of people are in care centers in the Gazelle Peninsula after the volcanic eruptions, the English translation for Kaya Ividwai. The peak of the eruptions may be well and truly over. We could not get a volcanologist to say that. Until the Rabaul and the Vulcan blew their tops off on September 19th, the population of Rabaul and surrounding villages had little time to evacuate, about 27 hours. That's from the time the big earthquake first shook Rabaul 3 a.m. on Sunday morning to the first eruption Monday morning at 6:15. MTV obtained first pictures of the eruption of Rabaul from Rabaul. Our first documented report about the eruption from volcanologist Rod Stewart in a telephone conversation with John Higgins in our Port Moresby office.
The best comparison is actually the eruption of both Vulcan and Rabaul in 1937. They both erupted at the same time, like we're having at the moment, and the size of this eruption is very comparable to the size of the 1937 eruption.
Well, from where you were, I know that the observatory is right on a hill there somewhere. Can you see Rabaul Harbour?
At the moment, I can only see about 20 metres away from the observatory. The whole town is covered in a thick blanket of grey ash, which is being blown by the wind from both volcanoes towards us. So it is very difficult to actually see what is going on at the moment.
Do you have any reports about lava flow at this stage?
We don't have any reports of lava flows. During the early stages of the eruption, we observed it very carefully, and we did not see any lava flows. But we haven't been able to see the volcano for quite a while now, so we're not exactly sure what's happening.
In Port Moresby, the wheels of government were set in motion. The Prime Minister, the Speaker of the National Parliament, Rabaul, and ministerial colleagues set out to see how it was really like over Rabaul.
Basically, the Prime Minister and this party are going very quickly to have a first-hand view of the situation, the picture. Unfortunately, but under the circumstances, this is the best thing that obviously the Prime Minister has made an announcement as to the arrangements that will take effect from now. I'd like to announce the decision of the Cabinet. Basically declared a state of emergency for Rabaul, and the Cabinet also announced a director of the state of emergency. Evacuation has been proceeding since last night.
At the Morocco United Church, people gathered with a common purpose to get information about the situation in Rabaul. A briefing by disaster and emergency officials as a community service. The Prime Minister and then Controller of the State of Emergency, Leith Anderson, returned to Port Moresby from Rabaul that evening and immediately gave a report on their mission.
Well, it was very clear exactly what the government must do on this particular occasion, because the damage from what I saw, is quite big. We have set up and authorized the controller of emergency to do everything possible, set up the whole administrative structure for him to be able to carry out his duties. The finance minister has been directed to make all the resources of the state available to assist in this program, and we are also making an appeal right throughout, within and without, because I don't think we have to pretend that we can meet these sort of things head on. We don't know the extent of the damages yet, but anyway, we are appealing within and without to assist in this restoration.
We now have a clear idea of what we've got to do, but there's the Prime Minister mentioned communication difficulties over there are really astronomical now. The lightning and storms that are being created by the two volcanoes, or three volcanoes that are erupting at the moment, really excessive. You've got to see it to believe it. I think you have some footage on film as the Prime Minister said, the people who were so tougher are in pretty fine fettle at the moment. But we've got our priorities now. That's food, water, cover, and medical teams.
It took only one wave to come over here from cloud about 9 o'clock. Just coming here over the place, and the rain started. Yes. We all were in church for about 2 hours.
Did you pray?
For sure we don't.
But we couldn't see anything because it was too dark at midnight.
Yes.
Totally dark.
So what did you say to them?
I said nothing, keep quiet. And so start praying.
Well, let's do that now. The first place we have let me and that's what will come down now. Now we stone will come down now. Now let me put in al time and put up last time. This is eruption of Kirap. All men have been run about. People are Kirap asal people are going to
Intensive fault lightning and sheet lightning and so forth. An enormous amount of lightning, especially high intensity fault lightning towards the crater itself. Unlike the 1947 eruption, which claimed the lives of 500 people, deaths directly related to this disaster have been less than 10, although the element of surprise could have been the same.
This volcano eruption has taken many people all across by surprise. We were not expecting it. Although for a long time there was this awareness that something would happen. But where and when, nobody could say. And now on Monday, all of a sudden it erupted. And then all these people from around Rabaul, by instinct I must say, just ran off and flocked into mission centers.
The Catholic Church has offered significant help with its many institutions. People have been offered food and shelter during the period. Supplies were not yet available.
So now this is something that my plan and it's like surprise like this class. Morning now this class, looking more now this class.
The owner of the coastal shipping in Rabaul, Henry Chow, was 4.5 years old when the volcano erupted in 1937. Many people are grateful to him for his foresight and service in the evacuation process.
It was about 12 o'clock noon on Monday that I realized that the eruption was a disaster of major proportion. That many people will need to be evacuated on the Matapit, Bai village, North and Matarao and Korea area. Kami plus yang sana selatan ni pelai plus bin tidak tu. Mula lagi tinggal apa? Sebelah gua asing. Jadi ni tu dulu saya pelai plus tinggal lagi. Jawaban dia tu saja. Ini pelai stop lepas sama tu pelai stop. Asam 3 hours di belas dari sana selatan. Ini kami akan simbang LEB stop yang baik. Kalau saya cakap saya people yang lalu ni masih yang baik. Sebelah people everyone yang house lagi semua ajak dia kasih wala sport. Sebelah ni kan macam pasal ni buat pelajaran ni buat dalam bayi. Kami dia kena dia bayi, and kami lagi bikin kisah ni berangan. Wala langsung gas nak sport. Plus di dalam tu, ni dalam kata kita bikin ini, orang kata mahu ni berai. Studio dia dalam yang berang. Now, dia bilang siapa yang lebih tinggi dengan semua people yang siapa yang Jadi buat ini kita yang mengajarkan. Nah, dia studi bin kam, start nak kisah sebelah ni dia.
Within days of putting its relief plan into force, the government found it necessary to make few adjustments.
Both Waigani and Rabaul had no cause for concern the week, even the day before the two volcanoes went off. By September 19th, the country was coming to the end of its 19th independence anniversary celebrations. Sir Julius Chan had been Prime Minister for only 20 days. His preoccupation at that time, how to hold coalitions together, the distribution of ministries, as well as Bougainville. The New Guinea Islands premiers had just finished a meeting on Matapit Island. One of their agenda items was secession. The night preceding the eruptions, what was one of many earth tremors the people of Rabaul had become accustomed to for many years, suddenly led to a potential volcanic eruption. Within a time space of about 12 hours, the urgency of the situation went from 1 to stage 3 alert. Back in Port Moresby, the Director General of the National Disaster and Emergency Services, Leith Anderson, who had been updated with situation reports, in turn kept people who needed to know informed. These included government agents and members of the diplomatic corps. During the night of Sunday, many people near the danger zone of the volcanoes moved to safer areas. The people's own sixth sense told them that this time something was going to happen. But during this time of uncertainty and to a greater extent anxiety, some people did not want to leave. Others were told to stay put near the danger zones. The people had a dress rehearsal of mass evacuation in 1984, some 10 years ago, when volcanic activity pushed the stage of preparedness to 3. But the elaborate evacuation plans and procedures had been 10 years too long.
We had an excellent disaster plan there, but the cart got before the horse. Mother Nature decided to do its thing. Instead of, as it's done in most other countries in the world, when volcanoes got in on the act, our volcanoes decided to do it the other way around. Just like that, they went off. So your disaster plan was effectively negated. Everything, all the arrangements for picking up people and doing this and doing that, you know, they just went out the windows.
While the set evacuation plans were not followed, the eruptions of Volcan and Tavuvu were not as deadly as before. They nevertheless damaged Rabaul town and displaced tens of thousands of people. At Waigani, the day of the eruptions, Sir Julius ordered an urgent cabinet meeting and declared Rabaul a state of emergency. Cabinet then appointed a ministerial committee headed by the Administrative Services Minister Paul Tohian, and also appointed Leith Anderson as the controller of the state of emergency. Mr. Anderson was given wide-ranging powers to provide shelter and relief supplies to the displaced people. The unexpected eruptions also threw off communication backups. The East New Britain Provincial Disaster Committee could not get a coordinated relief program going. On the afternoon of Monday the 19th, the Prime Minister, accompanied by Kokopo MP and Speaker Rabi Namaliu, and Leith Anderson, made a quick aerial visit of the devastated Rabaul. The next day, Tuesday, the Australian Parliament heard about the volcanoes through their Foreign Minister, Senator Gareth Evans.
As to assistance more generally, our staff in Port Moresby and in the Rabaul vicinity are in close contact, as you would expect, with Papua New Guinea officials to determine in what areas we might be able to provide assistance in the current situation and the form it might take. At this stage, there hasn't been a request from the PNG government for assistance, but we anticipate that there will be a need for water filtration equipment, for temporary shelter, for water containers and food as short-term requirements. We have a Hercules aircraft on standby to respond with emergency supplies and, if needed, aircraft shuttle services as soon as these needs are confirmed.
The request for assistance eventually went down to Australia, but in the days immediately after the eruptions, missions, mainly the Catholic Church and to an extent the United Church, were at the threshold of feeding and providing shelter for dozens of displaced families. They were looking after people in at least 4 different care centers. Archbishop Carl Hesse of the Catholic Church further opened up the Bunapate Hospital and even spent thousands of kina.
Now, today, we have numbers in the vicinity of 100,000, but also for those people who are looking after other people, after the refugees, for those families who have double up or triple up the number of people living with them.
5 days later, outside assistance finally arrived at Tokua Airport. Australia and American Hercules planes brought in supplies, and our own members of the Defence Force were flown in to provide order. Given our well-rehearsed plans and our knowledge from past experiences, Volcan and Tavuvu tested our preparedness and nearly won. While we rebuild or relocate Rabaul town, we will do so with the knowledge that not many people were killed this time. Volcanic eruptions, landslides, floods, frosts, droughts, and even diseases, this country cannot escape them. Our seemingly small Papua New Guinea can suddenly become big and difficult when disasters strike. Every province is vulnerable. There is one thing we should understand in all this. Under laws on disasters, there are provisions enabling provincial governments to set up disaster committees. Normally, they would be headed by the administrative secretary. Rabaul has always had a provincial disaster committee simply because of volcano threats. A lot of the other provinces don't have such committees. Now is the time to think about them.
Waterbury Township today, the Rabaul offloaded all her excess burden upon its length and breadth. All this assisted by the northeasterly breeze.
I'm pretty old and late now, and I would say if I'm going to die, I might as well die where my belongings are, as running away and leaving them.
Mr. Bata also made first contact with a group of 80 Matupit Islanders who had been unable to evacuate.
Just come in. How about these people?
From the ash-covered hospital of Nonga, the story of an emergency evacuation, Health Minister Peter Bata, doing his own inspection runs, came across people still stranded there, among them a woman in labor.
You come and up. You come to patient by Blarap.
Pukue. Bertemu,
There are 11 major care centers spread out over the Rizal Peninsula, the bigger ones at Kokopo, at the high school, the showgrounds, the Catholic institutions at Vunapope, Bitapaka and Cabaleo. The North Coast has Livuan, Lunga, Kabaira, Karawak, and inland at Vunadidir.
Although majority of the care centers have received their food supplies, we are continuing to collect information about other small groups of people still not being supplied with food, water, tents, and other essential items to help them to
mitigate the evacuation problems faced by all of them. Long time people only work long come long year. I think me at one time some little client belum me pula bin setting up or some little committee belum me pula long bit apa community government yet you know got money talking me pula tasol me pula tingin tasol na me pula working na there's a committee me pula work one time look out more people long year long sun na long night one time now yet me pula work long time long scaling long way me pula at start na by all people long year you can stop one time hamamas na lu can film sora tu mas
It's been inspiring to see the way the doctors from Vunapope have worked in this time of crisis. They also have been worried about their families and they've just worked unselfishly, endless hours, and they've shown true love and dedication towards their patients. And especially the nursing staff. The nursing staff, I have so much respect for the way they've worked unselfishly. Many hours of overtime, some not sleeping. It's been inspiring to see their dedication and love.
As Minister for Health, my first concern was the facilities here in Rabaul, whether or not they could cope with the situation. And instead of going to Port Moresby, I flew directly to Rabaul, getting here first light on Tuesday morning. Of course, I think you can understand with such a major eruption, there were a lot of things that were not going quite right, and I didn't imagine for one moment that I could correct these things. In fact, I'm not on the disaster committee. I'm simply responsible to the national government and to the people of Papua New Guinea to make certain that health facilities are providing the services they're supposed to. I guess being a helicopter pilot, it gave me a slight advantage in being able to move around very quickly, which we put to full use on Tuesday and on Wednesday to go around and check the health facilities in the Rabaul area. I attended the disaster meetings, and whilst there was some confusion, I think it's got to be said that the disaster committee over here were under a great deal of pressure. 10 years ago, they had plenty of time to prepare for an eruption that didn't happen. This time they had an eruption very quickly and no time to really prepare.
What our concern is at the moment is that we're going to get a large increase in the number of diarrhea type illnesses. There's been a lot of work on the public health, and especially from Dr. Millie Sampson, and we've tried to have toilets and fresh drinking water and food in all the care centres, so we're hoping to prevent a large increase in the amount of diarrhea. And as of yet we haven't seen it, but that's my biggest concern at the moment.
All the donations in cash and in kind have surpassed the $1 million kina mark, the United States alone chipping in over $700,000. This is where I leave you. Good night.
Mayumi, go away. Maski Yumi stop, na Yumi die long here. So Rabaul town, you sweet more yet. Rabaul town, you that's all now me stop. Maski me go, me thinking you yet. You Rabaul town. Down a long road, now me looking. Oh mama, I walk, picking me pilay na nitindi. Suppose small men by pied up by you me go away. I think by you me stop. Na die long here, that's all. Sampai like kissing balu, sampai like kissing sit, na only go. Sampai like no got money, na only no sabe, ba only go away. Nani to me no sabe, but me go away. Maski by me stop, na me die long here, that's all. Rabaul town, you sweet more yet.
Many people thought the volcanic activity in Rabaul would have stopped by now. Well, it's 6 weeks since the Rabaul first erupted, and as you can see, it's still very much active, although at a very reduced rate. And from where I'm standing, it's only 2 kilometers to the volcano. This is Rapindik, the closest point to the volcano of the Rabaul town. In this edition, we'll take another look around Rabaul, and especially the care centers, and talk to the people about how they feel about being forced out of their homes. Many of them have come back to their homes in Rabaul and villages around the volcanoes to see what they can salvage after the volcanic eruptions. It was hard enough for these people to return and find their homes had disappeared. It was harder still for them to try and recover their belongings under tons of volcanic ash which had been thoroughly soaked by rainwater. This area at one end of the Rabaul airport runway was known as the Kerama compound at Rapindik, a settlement once occupied largely by the new generation of people whose parents originally came from the Gulf province.
Emi very sad long me play come na looking place for me plan. Emi bakarapul sem because emi have me play been brought up long and na me play come back looking this plan na me play sorry long looking this plan like around karma him.
Elvis Torre and his brothers and sisters had accompanied their parents back to Rapindik to see what they could salvage from under the ashes. They were transported there from the Bitapaka Care Center in Kokopo by the National Disaster and Emergency Services. The truck drivers would wait for them and take them back to Bitapaka.
Me play come long panimal something where me play in Lusim na ground bin karmapem.
You play sampla finish?
Yes, sampla me play pani finish, sampla me play no pani med.
In lugar se mi hat lo pani bliklik also.
Ay, Hap through alone and big black ground. I karma view. Or something on pla.
Now also no something do please type it if you been run away.
All the time something been come up. Me play been. Me play been expecting also by mountain para. Na me play been losing solo something na me play run away. Na time me play come back long time mountain para. All something me play no more find him. Only stop inside the ground.
Oritoro was one of the elders at the Rapindik settlement. Originally from Yokea village, he settled in Rabaul in 1961 and there raised his family. You looking blissfully na anything outside?
Me looking at me sorry no good through long. Because me sorry long animal all family below me, only born long here. All the beginning, only born long here Rapindik. And now there's something he come up now. Me play go stop long. Can't send long Peter back.
Na you play come Mickey one him now long place.
Me play come finding all something below me para get around him karma him.
Something you play find him you right here?
Something me play find me right. Now plenty stuff yet inside long ground.
Now, when I'm feeling blue, you know, also, go past the family blue you, but you play goal someone.
Me feeling also by me play, illusive this place now. Me play go back long, cast and along Peter Park, behind by me play go back long must be.
Na, in the long way to mass the volcano, para you play kami play no operative.
Yes, volcano long para. So in no throw my stone. Huwag lang simuk na sol. Sabi na, may plano pura tumas long. Kam na diki mo something.
From Rapindik, the mouth of the third volcano, the Rabaul, is clearly visible. People in Rabaul say the most ash fallout which buried the airport, the suburb of Malay Town and the Rabaul township came from that volcano. The body of one of the 4 people who died in the volcanic disaster was found about here, near the Rabaul Golf Club, situated near the airport. The people who were digging at Rapindik say that he was an old man and one of them. Please have a good look at this.
I missed up one time, me pull up also 20 years please.
I'm long him.
I'm long Kerema. Na me place long I'm long sape ape.
Now when you recently in Harry Apple some people something.
We play talking him, you know good for a long run, ni blow you no good. I think anything or some by Emi must die. As soon as I see down on church, you go, house lot to blow me palaya. Emi sit down, you go too late now, me play take off now, Emi lose.
The Vulcan volcano is in the background as you can see. There's no more volcanic activity here. It's been quiet for the past several weeks. And where I'm standing was, or what used to be, the Tavana village. There's nothing much to see here of the Tavana village. The destruction from the volcano has destroyed everything. It's just a state of desolation. And here where I'm standing, somebody has been here and planted a few flowers. Someone told us this here, right here, used to be the church building at Tavana. It could be something else, given all this destruction, very hard to tell. Not far from Tavana, over the rise, was the village of Vellore, where somewhere beneath the new layer of volcanic ash lie the grave of the former chairman of the East New Britain Provincial Disaster Committee when it was formed in 1983, the late Nason Polias. The people of Vellore, Tavana and tens of thousands of others are now in the care centers at the various locations around the Gazelle Peninsula. Since the army moved in to help the police enforce the orders under the Rabaul state of emergency, people have acknowledged the improvements in the service, in the care centers and the delivery of supplies. The supply depot at the back of the War Museum at Ralum is the site of orderly maneuvers. The army has played a key role in ensuring that the care centers get their fair share of supplies and the police keeping peace and order. On his recent visit there, the controller of the Rabaul State of Emergency, General Rokus Lokenap, gave this brief.
At this stage, we've gone past the evacuation phase. We're now looking after the people in care centers. I believe we are now back to normal. The public service machinery in East New Britain is well and truly in operation. They've got a temporary headquarters up at Gunadidir. At this time, the provincial government should be brought back into play. They should be exercising their duties as elected representative of the people and get on with the job of running the lives of the people. I personally would recommend the lifting of the state of emergency, but it is not for me to decide. I think it's the national government to decide on that.
Just very quickly now, the welfare of people in the Kenya, are you generally satisfied about the running of the care centers and people there?
Well, I'm generally pleased with it. I think the people are being fed properly. I've yet to see a hungry person in the care centers. We are now going through improving some other little facilities in the care centers, like the water points, the drainage system in those water points, the shower facilities for both the male and female population in the care centers. I'm talking about mainly the areas in urban care centers. Look at the Kokopo High School, the Kokopo showground care centers. But I'm generally pleased with the care centers outside of the major two ones here in Kokopo.
After accompanying the general on a tour of the Kokopo Showground Care Center, the field commander, Colonel Lima Dotana, decided on some adjustments.
That's correct. The distribution of food has now been stabilized, and we need now to have a look at the care centers, re-site, if necessary, some of the houses. At this moment, as you can see here, it's too crowded and there's a high risk of fire. If there's a fire in one of the tents, we just very quickly spread a bit of wind. We should know the coconut leaves and the tarpaulin burns very, very quickly.
The colonel and the general and members of the East New Britain Disaster Committee met with the Prime Minister and briefed him on developments on the ground. The Prime Minister had gone there on his fourth on-the-spot visit.
To me, as I see it, it's an experience in Bougainville. It's man-made. Rabaul and Southern Highlands, they're nature. Out of all this, it's a very good cleansing exercise for all the people of this country. We have to learn to manage our own business, manage the finance of the country. We become a much more responsible society after all this cleansing. Bougainville will breed peace. Here will build tolerance. For looking after the finance of the country will breed responsibility. A combination of all these ingredients will make a better Papua New Guinea, better people.
There are now 24 main care centers and several sub-care centers in the Gazelle Peninsula, catering for over 70,000 people. At all the care centers, everybody from adult right down to the children, even babies, have to make the best of their own situation.
Emma, mi vlesta vose morning sun, avem vlesta tasol wan plat. Siran tasol was kukege siran tasol. No go ran bla mi blan.
They are living it tough and depend on everything for their survival. Most of the tents and tarpaulins have been donated, The people get rations of rice and tinned fish every day. That is supplemented by donations of fresh food and vegetables. Firewood is also brought into the care centers. Families help themselves to the wood and prepare their own meals. Open fires are a common sight. Many suffer the misfortune of losing all their belongings in the volcanic disasters. Life in the care centers are even more foreign to them. One cannot appreciate the psychological torment these people suffer until they visit the care centers and spend time to talk to the people.
Me play something. Suppose me play one mama, papa, me play ting you go back long. Play sample time me play cry. Long kind life, long here.
Gamaliel Pidik comes from the Duke of York Islands off the coast of Kokopo in East New Britain. He and his family, his wife is from Tubusarea village in the Central Province, have been living at the Kokopo Showground Care Center from day one. We found Pidik and his wife outside their tent with other neighbors, under the hut they use for Sunday worship and other meetings.
When I'm kind life now you play him long care center. Suppose he had on someone.
Oh, live long inside long all care center, especially long me play long desalahat, long Kokopo showground where me play staff. One because people me staff long narple place. Now long me all kadistasol canvas. Na suppose rainy come up. Suppose rainy come up and me play sansan up tasol. Me play allow him all picking the tasol by sleep on the mama. Too long and big pleasant he come up. Na I had my inside long canvas he had. Na I had long staff long house. So me play sit down about the solar sam. He go nambis pain in place was pain in place in malur in place staff. He had long kai same kai. Nearly most of the time, tin piece rice.
Start to Tambolo by coming up from group 1, group 2, group 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Tambolo yung mga killing place below you, killing inside the house below you, na camp outside the field. Because tomorrow, every time below you too. Killing place by you, good long below you, na me.
The people at the Kokopo Showground have themselves formed committees in a bid to manage their affairs and well-being in some form of order. This being the largest of the care centers, holding people from many different provinces and ethnic groups.
God people are talk all for themselves. The first government in got money na long bam rations. Na how about if you
Daniel Towai is the president of the Kombu community government. Like the Kerama people who went back to Rapindik, the controller let his people use a barge to transport them to their villages of Bai, Nodup and the rest to inspect their homes and recover any goods.
Now only long feeding people out some animal or something. Not supposedly giving when a ground blocking garden thing ban play around play much long in. I think only seven only say too much. So my name is Palau, man long walk.
Mi belakang stabian asam ini ang kupla tumas ba mi belakang stabian mi belakang asam kan public asam mi belakang silip belakang kuplaus na nukat kupla asam siram belakang mi belakang kaya belakang mi belakang kupla tumas asam ba mi belakang gobek la place belakang mi belakang
Semal kupla malu tu
nukat ya asam kan mi belakang kulang outside na semua planti langat di kampung nampak mi belakang ngam mastro
na puhutu yo limista plani atau kalau pikinin nila
mi belakang stop nukat kupla mas belum kata na mi belakang stop yang belakang la provinsi mi belakang sampla belakang civic sampla belakang murabe sampla belakang islands waktu da mix place na mi belakang kampung layan esta so mi belakang civic street.
A delegation from the East Sepik province was in Kokopo at the weekend to try to persuade Sepik people caught in the volcanic disasters in Rabaul to return to their home province.
Macam mi play story finish ya, mi play second generation now belum kami stable Rabaul. Also ngayon, bayi ting lang ko lang sampla po, resetaliat la is ni Brent. Ting kami play no, kirapiat long, ko settle long ang mga kami play can settle. So, at the moment, all big man long play talk long, kami play can go back long. Plus mi play kam long yan, long must be, long kirama.
Mi play go back long, Kesson long, Peter Park. Behind by me play go back long Mosby.
Long play time to massive in Lucy Mosby.
Yeah, 1961.
We are trying to tell people not to move unnecessarily. You're talking about 2, 3, 4 generations of Papua New Guineans who are residents of East New Britain province. We want to say that we want to encourage them to voluntarily go out. We are not forcing them to go out. But the problem is if they go out on their own free will, and if they want to come back to East New Britain, I predict that they will have some problems. In that they may not be able to come back in. And we're bound to have problems at the wharfs, at the airport terminals.
Rabaul remains a ghost town, although some residents have started to clean up their houses and property, indicating their willingness to return, but no clearance have been given for people to do that. The Rabaul harbour is also still out of the safe zone. No decision can be made about immediate resettlement within the town boundaries and villages near the volcanoes because of the uncertainty about future volcanic eruptions. If anything, the calm warning is clear from the Rabaul. Unlike the Rabaul volcano next door, and the Vulcan, which has become a big tourist attraction after she piped out, the Rabaul may yet hold the key to any decision for future resettlement here.
To get anywhere near all these mountains, you have to walk, and we've walked many of these mountains around Rabaul. The reason the people living in villages near the foot of the volcanoes cannot return to their homes is because of the danger of landslides. This is loose gravel, and when the rain comes it will all wash down the hill. And as if in defiance, you can see this green amongst all this grey, really strange. The banana trees, green banana trees beginning to grow.
The Tolai people, they've gone through so many sufferings in the past, different administrations. They've had the Germans, the Australians, the Japanese. So administratively they've gone through all that. They've had 37, they had the Second World War. So I knew all the time that they will come out of these ashes alive. Not only alive, but moving and thriving. So what I see today, of course, is there are a lot of damages, including the crops. But I think about 3 to 6 months from now, out of the ashes, they will be fertilizing the soil. And probably, I'm hopeful that they will have some of the most flourishing crops 6 months from now.
Bayumi, go away. Maski Yumi stop, na Yumi die long.